the clerk please call the roll?
Counsel Rourke.
Here.
Counsel Samaras. Counsel Belanger.
Here.
Counsel Elliott.
Here.
Mayor Kennedy.
Here.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Leary.
Here.
Counsel Mercier.
Here.
Counsel Milonazo. 7 present, 2 absent.
First order of business are the minutes of the City Council meeting on February 9th, the Zoning Subcommittee on February 9th, the Economic Development Subcommittee on February 9th for acceptance. Chair would entertain a motion to accept the minutes and place them on file. We have a motion by Counsel Elliott to do that, seconded by Counsel Belanger. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next item is discussion of the hiring process for the city auditor. Yes, I'm sorry. Moment of silence.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Judge Nikolakakis, beloved husband of Tasia for 56 years. On April 1st, 1965, speaking broken English, he boldly opened the doors to George's Delicatessen on Gorham Street. And for 50 years, side by side with his dedicated partners and brother-in-law, Steve Gleekis, Judge poured his heart and soul into his restaurant, into the city of Lowell, and most of all, into each and every customer that walked through his door. He hired dozens of employees over the years, and he loved them as part of his family. He endlessly supported several Lowell schools, churches, youth associations, and sports teams, and would give money and food to those who were struggling. He had a special fondness for the families of Swede Village section of the city and deliberately hired teenagers from there in order to give them a chance to work their way through school, an opportunity he did not have, being brought up in poverty, completing only 2 years of school himself. Judge served as a medic in the Greek army. He was proud past president of the Pan-Hellenic Soccer Organization, where he met several of his lifelong friends. He was a member of the Transfiguration and the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church of Lowell and participating in the Pan-Laconian Society. Besides his wife, Anastasia, Tasia, father of Demetra, Louis, and cherished grandfather of George, Andrew, Jacob, and William. We offer our sympathy to his family, relatives, and many friends, and his many customers of George's Deli, the longest-serving delicatessen in the city of Lowell. He will be truly missed. I think there's a comment from Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that a few years ago when we did the Recognize George's Delicatessen, the family business that had been open for 50 years, something that Mayor Elliott had started, that the family was very appreciative, and George himself was really proud to be here in the chambers and to have that honor. Thank you.
And I'd like to also offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Michael J. Donahue. Michael was a kind and gentle soul whose love of family was the compass that guided him. His pride and devotion for his children were ever present and as visible to the world as his beautiful smile. The other guiding force in Michael's life was his humor. He always had a joke at the ready, and when he made you laugh, it made his day. Michael leaves behind his wife, Nancy, his son, Jeremy, and his daughter, Elizabeth Clare, his sisters, Mary, Mara, Peggy, and State Senator Eileen Donahue, and his brother, Daniel. He was predeceased by his sister, Ann. Michael will be deeply missed by countless friends, especially his co-workers at Lowell High School. My daughter being one of them, said Michael was the best. We offer our sympathy to his family, the state senator, his relatives, and his many friends and co-workers. He will be truly missed. And I'd also like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber to all those who have died since our last city council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Next order of business is a discussion regarding the hiring process for city auditor. It's Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've made progress in the last few weeks, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to inform you and my colleagues are aware that we'll be holding interviews on Monday, the 29th at 6 o'clock for the 3 candidates that the council has selected for interviews. They will start at 6 o'clock and take approximately 45 minutes per candidate. So, looking forward to
Counsel.
that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, Chair would entertain a motion to accept the report from Council Belanger and place it on file. Discussion, all in favor? All opposed, so voted. Next, under communications from the city manager, we have items A through F. The first item is Plain Street realignment. Any discussion on the Plain Street realignment? Council Belanger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the quick response from Planning and Development and the manager's administration. This is a very, very important project, as we know. So I just had a few questions regarding the appraisals that have taken place, and do we know how much we're encroaching on abutters? And at this point, I might be a little early, but I just wanted to get a little information if I could. So I guess, Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager.
Yes, thank you, through you, Mayor. It's very important to the VFW that we take as little as possible on their side of the proposed roadway, so we're working to minimize the amount of land to take from the VFW as we can.
Okay. And we understand it will be complete by summer of, this summer, basically, just a few months. We're expecting the final plans to be in?
Yes, that's correct. We still, what we're trying to do is do a purchase on the other side of the VFW so that we can accommodate their needs for their future construction. And as soon as we're able to complete that, we'll be able to finalize the plans.
Okay, well, thank you. I want to thank you and Deputy Director Kevin Coughlin. I know he's been very sensitive to the abutting businesses there and keeping them in touch, so just as long as that persists, we'll be in great shape for a few months from now. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other discussion? Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. Mr. Manager, anything we can do to help VFW, I'm very happy to hear that we're keeping them in consideration because they have been with the city for many years and they have been a good neighbor, a good business, a good everything you could think of. They have enhance that neighborhood fully. And when we revitalize any particular neighborhood or corridor, such as Tanner Street, all the money that we invest, if we can't clean up the blight that hangs around the area, and with that, I'm talking about 86 Canada Street, and that particular poured concrete building that is owned by a particular landlord that also has property along the corridor of Tanner Street as well, who is not doing a very good job, enhancing the neighborhood. And it's tough when you want to revitalize and realign and revamp a particular gateway into the city, especially from off the connector, and then you see that for 18 years nothing has been done with his buildings, and that this particular, you got to look into the other areas that surround that. It would be a shame to pour all that money in and only have blighted buildings such as 86 Canada Street, which has a tenant that goes under the auspices of a landscaper who dumps all kind of debris in that parking lot. It's an eyesore and it's not right, and it takes away from the neighbors that have property next door, and it doesn't sit well with me when they call me and they're very upset, and we do everything we can, and yet the landlord takes in the rents, but he does do nothing to refurbish his property. That is not good, and I want you to be aware of it. It's not a good thing to see, and it diminishes the value of the property around it, while we, in essence, are pouring money into realign a particular segment of the streets. So I think if we could keep an eye on that, and I don't know how they get away with just doing that all these years. I know you understand, but I had to bring it up. I'm sorry, but I have to say what bothers me, because when you get the calls from the building owners, the homeowners, in the immediate abutting position of that, it's not good. I feel bad for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion on item A? Counselor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to City Manager. So, Mr. Manager, one of the reasons why I thought it was important to co-sign this motion was not only to ensure the realignment is still on track and the veterans, we're working with the veterans organizations, but also the impact that it will have and the purpose of the realignment, and that is on the city industrial park, the urban revitalization and renewal plan in that particular section of the city. So while the realignment is going on, is there work being done in that particular? It's an economic, we designated it as an economic opportunity area, which makes it eligible for, investment tax credits and incentives to have businesses relocated or developed in that area. And as you know, that's one of the, one of the last remaining sections of the city where we have an opportunity to do commercial and industrial development, and certainly needed in that area. So while this is great news, and thank you for the update. I think that's it's positive that we realign that in a section, because if we don't, then we're not going to get the development further down the road. But just thinking ahead, what are the plans, or anything being put in the pipeline, so to speak, once this realignment is done? To incorporate some of those, aspects of the revitalization plan. And maybe this is a larger discussion for economic development, but I thought it was good to get an update, knowing we're in a good economy, and here's an opportunity for us to get businesses there.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. No, it's an excellent question. We have been working on it. As a matter of fact, one of the sites we proposed maybe for a new police station is on Tanner Street, because it's the largest parcel in the city that could accommodate a facility in that area. Obviously, we've had the cultivation plant locate in the Tanner Street area and has improved that property and the value of the property. We'll be coming with you down the road. There's a proposal known as a DIF, and basically what it is, a certain percentage of the increase in the taxes stays in that area.
Right.
And it's something I think we'll be talking about. We haven't arrived at a final version of the DIF, but it's sort of just pouring money back into that district to revitalize it. So there's a number of things that we're looking at, and I think it would be a good discussion on a larger scale relative to the way we could jumpstart it.
And that's what I was looking for, knowing that we've been focusing a lot on Hamilton Canal, but in the meantime, there are still other areas, in particular this one last sort of sector of the city that's specifically industrial and zoned for industrial growth or commercial, and we have a chance to continue to get tax revenue to offset these property taxes, residential property taxes, and I think this is sort of the next Hamilton Canal, knowing the opportunities that are down there. So I appreciate this update, Mr. Manager. I look forward to a further discussion on this project. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Belanger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real quick, I think with the managers, Councilor Elliott asked some great questions, and the police station and whatnot, with all this that is said to be on the burner, I think it's a good idea that we refer this response to the Economic Development Subcommittee for further discussion. There seems to be a lot going on here, and we can't lose it in the spotlight of the Hamilton Canal as much as we're focused there too, but this is a very, very important project as well, so I think it's
Is
good
that
we
a
do it.
motion, Councilor Belanger?
Correct, yeah.
All right, Councilor Belanger moves to send this item to the Subcommittee on Economic Development. Do we have a second? Second by Councilor Leary. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, all opposed? So voted. Next item, item B, is the implementation of the shot detection system and cameras. Any discussion on that? Councilor Elliott.
Again, thank you, Mr. Manager, for the update, and I appreciate the research and the methodical way that you have proceeded with this, knowing that as we have learned, and if you have gone through speaking to vendors and process, that this is really not the best use of the money that was expended. It is a good system, but the explanation from the chief that it's more beneficial to place cameras strategically throughout the city in 45 locations makes an awful lot of sense, rather than spending $165,000 a year, and then at the end of the day, we're left with, we have no equipment. We have, a system that doesn't belong to us, but we've spent, close to $500,000, and then we don't have anything. So I appreciate the fact we didn't rush into this. I think it's important that we be vigilant on, guns and gunshots in the city, but this is, according to the chief's plan, it's a better way, it's more cost-effective to place cameras, to get video surveillance, which is what we need, and not just an indication of where the shots are being fired. So, any idea, I thought I saw the chief here, if there's anything more to add other than we're going to move into another direction rather than purchase this shot spotter, yet at the same time, we're going to remain vigilant on identifying, guns and gunshots and narrow that down. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mayor, through you. I'd just like the chief to address the fact that if we put up the cameras, though, down the road, if the technology advances to where we can integrate the shot detection system with the cameras, then we will do that. Could you just address that?
Yes, Mayor, through you to the members of the City Council. That's absolutely correct. So I think all along we were under the impression that the acoustic gunshot detection system, commonly referred to as ShotSpotter, would be incorporated with a video surveillance system. They'd work in tandem, kind of complement each other. Unfortunately, that's not the way that the vendor priced it out, and it would be extremely costly to do both at this time. And so, as you've seen from the memo, I think we're better off going in the direction of the video surveillance system at this point. But when the technology matures to the point where we can either use the ShotSpotter or one of the other competitors that are just coming up online now, we certainly will have the ability to tie them in to an already existing video surveillance system. And then the way the system is designed to work is if there's a gunshot detected in a section of the city that's covered, it integrates with the video surveillance cameras in that area to swing the cameras towards the location of the gunshot so that they can instantaneously capture video evidence and relay that to our communications center and to our offices in the field. So, yes, we can do that.
So we're going to continue to monitor and use better technology to identify where gunshots are being fired so we can get video surveillance, i.e., license plates, or
Right.
Be able to identify the perpetrators. Yet it's going to be a significantly less cost.
We anticipate that if we're able to build out this video surveillance system, if the council authorizes us to redirect a portion of that capital money to this video surveillance system, we believe we can accomplish that at the $350,000 range, which would be a savings back to the city and the taxpayers of $150,000.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate the report. And I appreciate us being forward-thinking. Let's not go with this system. It's not going to be the best. It's not going to accomplish our goals. Yet coming up with an alternative, a better alternative, to continue this war on these gunshots. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I, too, was reading the motion response. It was a little disappointing to see that, it's not the right time. But as it was an outstanding response to, I might add. So, Mr. Manager, I want to thank you and Superintendent Taylor. Well thought out. That I have to agree in the end, this is not the proper use of taxpayer money. I think it can be used much more effectively if we disperse cameras throughout the city in various hotspots that won't be as, I guess, one-dimensional as the ShotSpotter would be, because they only really react to one thing, where various cameras can be very helpful in solving all types of anonymous crime. So I think that's one advantage, and there'll be a surplus at the same time. We're only spending $350,000 of the $500,000 we allocated in the capital plan. So that could be used for, if the proper technology comes out for ShotSpotter that we sees fit for the city of Lowell, or we may find the cameras are doing great, and we may want to add cameras throughout the city. But I think there's more to it than just a ShotSpotter system is not a cure-all. I think what this council has done over the last 2 years and a few months has made public safety a priority. And with that being said, we added 13 new police officers to the street in the last couple years. And that has paid off in dividends as well. Okay, a few important crime percentage I think that bode mentioning. Aggravated assault with a firearm, down 28%. Incidents of verified shots fired have decreased 43%. I think it's all as a result, as well as Chief Taylor putting together the 8-member gang unit has been very, very effective. So I think that plays a role into this as well, that what we're doing, the police officers we put on the street have made a difference. And so maybe it's not proper that we spend this kind of money on a technology that is basically going to be like leasing an automobile for 3 years, then you turn it over, you don't own it, and then where are you? So I think it was well thought out by everyone involved here that this is the right thing to do, and we will keep up what we're doing. This council will continue to make public safety a top priority, but we'll do it when we see fit that the time might be right and the technology will suit the city of Lowell. Right now, it does not. So hopefully, as the technology matures, maybe we can make a change and integrate it with the cameras that are in place. But for now, we need to keep up what we're doing in the interim. And these cameras that are scattered throughout the city will only help our cause. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My comment here is that I wholeheartedly support anything that will create and enhance the ability to deter criminal activity in hotspots throughout the city. And I think this is a great, great idea. And if people are leery about their rights being violated, if you're not doing any criminal activity, then you should not worry about it. I certainly want to see it all over the place if it's possible. I know that it's an expensive proposition, but I think it's wholeheartedly something that we need. We cannot have the police everywhere all the time. This is a means of being the eyes in the neighborhood, especially in the hot spots. I certainly support this wholeheartedly, and I'm glad that we're on the move to do something. So I'm looking forward to this happening, and I support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. So when I read the report through you to the manager, this isn't like a done deal. This is just kind of a report on what we could, an alternative to the spot shotter? Like, do we have to vote on the camera stuff, or are we doing this, or?
Mr. Manager.
No, there's no vote at this point in time. We've already allocated the money for a shot detection system in the
Right.
Capitol, and so we'll be able to use that money to purchase the cameras. And we fully plan to purchase the cameras and install them. And then down the road, if the technology advances to be able to put the shot detection system with those cameras, we will look into adding that into the equation.
Okay. I think it's a good idea, so don't get me wrong, but I just thought when we change in the plans like this, I thought it would go back to subcommittee. And it may or may not, the maker of the motion, Councilor Rourke, worked a lot on the spot shotter, so I think that's a good idea to go this way, but I just thought maybe it would go back to subcommittee to discuss, a turnaround. And as Councilor Mercia said too, my first I think it's a good idea, but my first reaction too is like all of a sudden Big Brother's watching. So are we in any, do we get challenged for putting cameras up? I mean, I suppose now we're in the type of a environment where cameras are everywhere, whether you know it or not. So, but I had a question about that too, so. But it was a good report, Chief, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mayor, if I may just make a comment. 2 years ago, when this initiative came forward, The city was not in the advantageous position we're in today. And it was certainly a very reasonable, and I think it was a very prudent step that members of this city council, especially Councilor Rourke, advocated for this system. I think it was certainly the direction that it seemed to be appropriate to go. At the same time, though, members of the city council and the administration really took about the task of restaffing the police department. Many more resources in terms of personnel were added to the police department. We put them out in positions that they could be of the most use in trying to deter some of this crime in the city, specifically gunshots and gang-related activity. And I think in large measure, we've been pretty successful at that. I think the men and women of the department, based on everybody's leadership here, have done an admirable job. And it has allowed us time to vet these different proposals as we go forward. And so I think we're in a much better position today. But I'd like to compliment the members of the City Council for giving us these funds at the time, which was certainly a reasonable thing to do. And then along with staffing and proper deployment, I think we're in a much better position as a city today than we were at the time. So it allows us the flexibility to try and maybe look at a better system here as we go forward.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I actually do agree with the chief. I think it's actually good news that at this time the detection system is not needed. I think it is a credit to the department, the good work that's being done. Mr. Mayor, I was under the impression maybe the solicitor could check in on this one. I thought we did because the money was allocated to the shot spotter, that we would have to vote to reallocate the money to whatever thing you want to do.
We're actually working on that right now. If we do need a vote, we will come back with a vote.
Any idea how long it would take to get the cameras up and running?
It will be a series of months, certainly. I'd like to have them up by the summer or into the summer. We received a state grant for $30,000, which allowed us to start with Eagle Park, where there was some disorder there last year. And we also are going to do Kerouac Park. That's the second component of that pretty limited state grant. And then we have the infrastructure in large measure in place in the city, so I think we can roll this out in combination, my staff with the city MIS unit, reasonably soon, certainly this year, once it's authorized.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Mr. Manager, just as a point of order, or clarification of the point that Council Leahy brought up and also Council Rourke, this money was approved by the City Council for the shot spotter detection system. And now you're proposing that we use the money for cameras instead. Is it your position, or are you unsure about whether or not this is going to require council approval?
Thank you, Mayor. That's a good question. Our CFO, Connor Baldwin, is working with bond counsel right now to determine if we can spend the money on the video surveillance system without a vote. If they say we need a vote, we will be coming back with a subsequent vote to put in the video system.
Okay, and if you don't need a vote, there'll be a notice to the council that a vote was not required?
Absolutely. We'll give you the information that we'll be starting to purchase the video cameras and install them.
Okay, any further discussion? Councilor Riley.
So the purpose of the vote is because it was a loan authorization, right? It's not.
Correct.
It's to ensure that we are in compliance with what we voted for when it comes to, because we took out is it 20-year loan order? Was it grouped with others?
We haven't borrowed the money yet. It was just authorized.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
when we go to borrow, we want to make sure that we can expend it on the video system because of the vote.
Okay.
And if bond counsel advises us that we can't, we'll come back with a vote to authorize it for the video system.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Okay,
Thank you,
any
Mr.
further
Mayor.
discussion? If not, we'll move on to item C, which is the status of the trolley system. Any discussion on item C? Council Belanger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank Planning and Development for the response on this, and certainly not the response we were all looking for. No fault of their own. They certainly did their due diligence, but it's the trolley system is going to be rather elaborate, to say the least. We're talking about $100 million for a rail system that connects the downtown to the Gallagher Terminal, to the university, and other points of interest. So it's safe to say that it's not going to happen anytime in the future. But So, Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager, we also received a grant, a $1.5 million grant for the study, which apparently is not going to go forward now. So what's going to happen with those funds?
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. It was a $1.5 million Sarbanes grant, is I think the name of it. And what it is, it's a federal grant that has to be expended for the historical district in Lowell. So we've already met with Congresswoman Songus. We've talked to her about the fact that the trolley system, I mean, you can build a trolley system for $100 million, but there's nobody out there to operate it. The Lowell Regional Transit Authority is not interested in operating the trolley system. Nobody else has the ability to operate it. So, and UMass Lowell isn't as interested as they were in the past. So what we're saying is we're now working with the federal government to, instead of doing the study that's going nowhere, why don't we see if we can take that $1.5 million and put it into other multimodal efforts to get people from the Gallagher terminal to other points of interest in the city. You had this motion on last week, and I think it's very timely that if we could take that $1.5 million and maybe bolster their transportation system over there by adding zip cars, bike sharing, any other type of multimodal transportation efforts, that's, I think, a better use of the $1.5 million than doing it for a study that's just going to gather dust on a bookcase.
No, it's Plan B, Mr. Manager, to say the least. That is just not realistic. So, yeah, that motion I made last week, I think will fit. The timing's impeccable that, to get other means of transportation, their bikes and zip cars, so they can hit other points of interest throughout the city, because this is obviously not going to come into fruition. I mean, I appreciate everybody's hard work. Again, not the response we're looking for, but we need to know bad news immediately on this, and that's great. So let's just go forward with an alternative plan. That's what we'll do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion on this item? Counselor Mercia.
I get a kick out of hearing this. Transportation in a flash from the LRTA to wherever you live or wherever you need to be. When former Mayor Rodney Elliott and I went to Cambodia, did we not have the greatest time with seeing these? They were like motor scooters with some sort of a two-seater or four-seater hooked onto the motorcycle with actually a roof over it, and they zipped us all over the place. It was amazing, and it was great. Wasn't it unbelievable? And I said, wow, this idea could work in Lowell, and here we are asking about it. See, when you go different places, you can bring the best of what they offer into our city. I think when I heard that last week with Councilor Belanger's motion, I said, oh my God, this is exactly what I have pictures of it. We were on this. It's so amazing, and they'd get you wherever you needed to go, and they didn't charge you very much money either. It was like unbelievable. And I said, wow, wouldn't this work in the city of Lowell, Rodney?
Yes.
And I'm going to bring in pictures to show you next week. This is amazing. Maybe we could do something like that. They're so creative. It's amazing. So I'll bring in some information on that.
Thank you, Counselor.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Counselor Elliott.
So, Mr. Mayor, for the record, neither myself or Councilor Mercia were driving these tuk-tuks because they speed around the city and there's no speed limit, but it's a good idea. It's, it's these vehicles are for very densely populated cities and narrow roads, and they whisk people along.
You could
It's
fit
quite a ride.
four people in
Yep.
these. Wonderful.
Okay, any
On
further
gas.
discussion? If not, we'll move on to item D, pooling agreement to reduce electric costs to residents. Any discussion on that? Counselor Leahy.
Thank you. So this was the motion that Council Leary and I brought in. I'm glad to see the report. It does state that our savings, what we're paying for the kilowatts, is about 10 cents per kilowatt, and the National Grid is up to about 13 cents. When I called the other day, I thought they told me they were up to 16 cents. So, I mean, we are getting quite a significant savings from being in this plan. I guess, when we brought the motion forward, it just seemed like a lot of people were asking about their electric bills, but through a little bit of research too, it just kind of, I think it was 3 years ago, the rates were significantly lower and they just kind of climbed up. So I think we're sort of at a point now where we've been paying higher rates over the last couple of years. We're seeing some big savings, but people just were wondering, why is it so high this time of the year? And naturally, it goes up during the winter anyways, but just seemed to catch us, it crept up, and we've been paying it, and then all of a sudden, it's like, where's the relief? So, but we are getting quite a significant savings on this, so thank you for the report. And, people were asking about it, and we checked it out for them, so thank you.
Any further discussion on this item, Mr. Manager?
I once again ask everybody watching at home to, next time you get your electric bill, look at it and make sure that the supplier is Hampshire Power, because you'll only get these savings if your supplier is Hampshire Power. If it's National Grid, you're going to be paying the higher rate. And the great thing about our program, unlike some surrounding towns, is you can opt in and out of our program. So if somebody wants to take advantage of it now, they can get in the program, unlike some other programs. So look at your bill, make sure it says Hampshire Power, and if it doesn't, give us a call, and we'll give you the number for Hampshire Power so that you can sign up.
Okay, any further discussion? Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, how long is the contract or the agreement with Hampshire? How long did we enter into that agreement for? For a certain dollar amount, certain percentage or cent per kilowatt hour?
It is until 2019, yeah, 2019.
So 19. So through 2019, we have one rate. We have one rate. So just for the people at home, so they know to go and check to make sure that it's Hampshire Power. Because if not, then it's National Grid or someone else, or is it just National Grid? And they have a much higher, and that will fluctuate, which is why the city entered into this agreement to get a consistent rate till 2019 to get a better rate, and so we won't be prone to these these increases that National Grid has, right?
That's an excellent point, because
Okay.
National Grid will go down at the lower use period.
Right.
They sound good at the lower use period, but now when there's the higher use period, they jump up to the 13.03 cents per kilowatt hour.
Right.
Ours stays consistent through the entire period of time. As you can see, we're going to be at 10.8 cents until the end of April. And I don't want to put you on the spot, Phil, but based upon the current market, we may very well be going down in April. Is that correct?
To you, Mr. Manager, maybe not so much in April. We're going to try and lower the rate in October of this year. It won't come down much, but I think that once we get it down to that level, I think that we can carry it through for the rest of the contract.
And what is our current level? Our current
10.3,
10.3?
10.8 cents per kilowatt hour, where National Grid is 13.038.
Okay, and when we get it down to that low level, well, it's essentially locked in, and people, I mean, depending upon usage, they will see that consistent rate until 2019, and I think that's great news. But I think it's important that you mention that we consistently mention to the people, because it is confusing. You look at your bill, and you don't know, there's the distribution charge, and then there's the generation charge. It is confusing, which is unfortunate, but I think that's important to note again, that people have to opt in to get that rate, right? They have to opt in, otherwise they're going to get that National Grid charge.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If when you look at your bill, don't look at like you said, the distribution is going to be National Grid, but you want to look at the supplier. And if the supplier says Hampshire Power, you're fine.
And if it doesn't, Mr. Manager, what do people do?
Call our office,
Call the city manager's
City Hall,
office.
and we'll be able to refer them to our energy company to help them out to get the lower rate.
Okay.
And businesses also. It's
Absolutely.
not just residents, it's businesses that can save money on these lower
And if they
rates.
want to, could they just call National Grid, or are they going to get sort of the runaround?
No, they're going to, no, they'll have to call us.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you for that explanation. I know we've spoken of this before, but I thought it was important to remind people at home that they have to opt in, meaning you have to sign up for it, and it's just not going to happen. You're not going to get the lower rate. So thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Council. Council Mercia.
But if National Grid customers didn't do anything, they stayed the same with the supplier, Hampshire supplier. But if they opted out, then that's where they went wrong. Okay, fine.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, moving on, the next two items are informational, and they are item E, which is the National Grid update on double poles. Mr. Manager?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We just wanted to give you an update on these polls, and if you see any that aren't on the list, please let Mr. McGovern know, and he'll take care of them. But if you do see them, we want to make sure that we're put on notice, and we will deal with National Grid to get them taken care of.
Council Leahy.
Could I just ask again, the ones on Mariner and Fruit Street? So last time we brought this up, there were fire wires on it, the old fire, so I believe those are down, and we're waiting for Verizon wires next. So those are the only two that really stand out because they've been on the list for so long. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Council
Yeah.
Mercia.
Thank you very much. When we're talking about poles or double poles, I have a kind of a unique situation, and I certainly need help with it. And it's the pole on Adams Street that abuts the St. Patrick's Church. It's right up against the window, and those windows are leaking, and they can't get a person in there to repair those windows. That pole has to move. It has to move, and they said that it would be moving in the spring, but I need it to move now so that someone by the spring can do the work. It's an emergency situation, and they wanted to charge the father over at St. Patrick's Church, I don't know, $2,000 or what, something to move the pole. If you have made, you saved customers $5.8 million, please, you can afford to move that pole for nothing and do a good service for the church. I need that pole moved so they can't put a staging up. That pole is right more or less against the window. We can't just move the wires off. There was a misunderstanding that the wires could be moved so the guy wouldn't be electrocuted that's doing the work. It's not that simple. The pole has to be moved because they can't get the staging around the window because that pole is in the way. You understand? And I need help with that for the father crying over there at St. Patrick's Church. If we could come together and help the church, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? If not, we'll move on to item F, which is the fiscal year 2015 independent audit. Mr. Manager?
I think this is a terrific report for the city. I'll ask Connor Baldwin, our Chief Financial Officer, just to give a brief summary of the findings, especially that there are no material weaknesses in this finding.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Through you, Mr. Mayor. As the council is aware, the city brings in an outside auditor every year to audit our financial statements, which is what you have before you. As the manager mentioned, accompanying the basic financial statements, which is the numbers and the balance sheet, is typically a management letter which suggests some improvements that can be made to efficiencies in financial controls. In terms of the management letter, the most severe comments are called material weaknesses, which in the past, the city has had material weaknesses in cash controls. We're very pleased to see that that's no longer a material weakness. There are informational suggestions made by Powers and Sullivan that we have included a corrective action plan in with the memo. Just in terms of the basic financial statements, some noteworthy things for this year. The unassigned fund balance in the general fund is at 14.9 million. The total fund balance, 23.2 million. The general fund decreased by 1.4 million in transfers for education, and that was the free cash vote last year from fiscal 14 certified free cash. One of the most noteworthy items moving forward for our audits is now we have to maintain compliance with some of the newer GASB statements, 45, 66, 67, et cetera, where we have to recognize the OPEB liability and the pension liability on the financial statements. So you'll notice the fund balance, and there's a note which details this in the packet, is much less than it used to be because we have to recognize that liability. Our OPEB liability for the city is up over $150 million. Now, the city has made some tremendous strides in addressing that, much more as compared with other communities. We've established the OPEB Trust by vote of this council, which is a fund where we set aside $7.8 million to mitigate that future expense. And so it also includes a look back on fiscal 15, and just to talk briefly about that, for fiscal 15, revenues exceeded budget by $394,000, and expenses came in less than budget by $1.1 million, which is a direct result of the city manager's initiative last year to sort of tighten the belt of the city when, in order to deal with the expense of the record-breaking snow season. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Overall, the reporting was pretty accurate, and I really was happy with the results. You got award-winning finances, and I'm very proud of that. But it's the simple little things that stick to me, and I'm concerned about fixed assets and what we own. We should know what we own, who is using it, and where is it, and the tracking should be up to date, and I don't think that it is. We in the sheriff's office had to do that in our facility, that every single thing that we had to get the number off it and have a detailed list of where it is, who's using it, and if we don't have it anymore, we should have reported that. I say that because it's what we own is ours. It's not just ours, it's the taxpayers. And some time ago, a department, I'm not going to mention which department, they let a lot of their supplies go and people actually took it home. I was surprised to see that because that could have been an inventory where we could have sold some of it for a reasonable price, but we would have gained money for that. I mean, it's nice to be good and give things away, but I like to recoup money. Somebody's junk is a treasure to others, and so that's why I say we should have this detailed. I know that there is progress, and there was an accurate reporting of some of the stuff, but the deletions and disposals and transfers, we don't have that up to date. I'm sure we have the equipment, the apt to do that, and I don't think that it's fully being done. I think we should know what we have and who's working on it or who doesn't have it anymore. Where did it go? I think we should be updated on that.
To the manager? Go ahead, Connor.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Mercier. That's a very important point, and it's something that these management letters allow us an opportunity to have a fresh set of eyes on our operations, so they give us ideas of what we need to work on each year. As you noted, we do have a detailed listing of all the assets. It's really the additions, deletions, disposals of fixed assets that we need to track better. The city in March is going to be migrating to the new version of our financial software, which we're looking into some new modules in that software package that will allow us to better track. But you make an excellent point that this is something that the city needs to keep a close eye on.
I make you aware of it because we in the sheriff's office, we had to do that. And so that's important to me as it's important to the city. So thank you very much.
Okay, further discussion, Counselor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to comment and congratulate the manager and the auditor's office on getting a good report card, if you will. It shows good, sound fiscal policy. It continues to reflect we're in a good financial, solid, stable financial position, and it also reflects fiscal discipline. When we're taking in more revenues and when we need to fill a gap, then we cut back, and I think it mentioned it's 1.1 million in expenses that were not encumbered. So I'd like to refer this to the Finance Subcommittee to answer a few more questions, if you will. But I think in general, it's a good report. And the fact that there are no material weaknesses demonstrates that we continue to work towards ensuring that we have strong financial internal controls, and that we're doing a better job, if you will, in accounting for the taxes that people pay. So, and just on that GASB 45, that includes, when we say fixed assets, I understand the need to account for everything, pencils, paper clips, but this includes, just for the people at home, this includes every inch of sidewalk, streets, sewers, water pipes, everything, every asset the city has, we have to go through. And I think we're getting close, because unlike other communities, I think that we have started a long time ago to be in compliance with GASB 45. And it does help, because it shows the assets of a community when you go through your bond rating. So I think that's a good discussion that we can continue with the Finance Subcommittee. But at the end of the day, the city's in good, sound financial shape, and I look forward to a further discussion at the Finance Subcommittee meeting.
Is
Thank
that a
you, Mr.
motion,
Mayor.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes. Motion to send it to the Finance Subcommittee.
Second by Counselor
Second.
Belanger. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. The chair would entertain a motion to, if there's no more discussion, the chair would entertain a motion to accept the communications from the city manager and place them on file. We have a motion by Counselor Mercy to do so, seconded by Counselor Rourke. Discussion. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next item of business is under communications. It's a request from the city request for out-of-state travel for one person for the Lowell Police Department. We have a motion to approve. We have a motion approved by Counselor Elliott, seconded by Counselor Mercy. A discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
Counselor Samaras. Counselor Belanger.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Leary.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo. 7 yeas, 2 absent.
The next item of business is a loan order from the city manager for bridge repair bonds. And if there's no objection, we'll just do the first reading. Waive the total first reading. It's a loan order for bridge repair bonds to borrow $2,600,000 to pay for costs of bridge repairs and for the payment of any other costs incidental and related thereto. Councilor Elliott, motion to approve.
I move to approve to send it to a public hearing. Mr. Manager, before that public hearing, you've done a very good job in providing us, and this is in combination with the Tiger Grant, the $13 million Tiger Grant. And if you could just for the public hearing, whether it's a presentation or information before, just let us know what the $13 million will cover, and what this funding will be for. I think it'd be helpful. And just again to the people at home, these are to start fixing all the bridges owned by an L corporation, where you see the barriers throughout the city that there's minimum load, and it's a hindrance. All these bridges are a hindrance to the vehicle movement in the city, and this is gonna fix that. And so I just want to make that request before the public hearing.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Elliott to refer to a public hearing on March 1st, 2016, seconded by Councilor Rourke. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next item of business is under subcommittee reports. There was to be a personnel subcommittee this evening that was that had to be postponed to a future date. So we'll just move on to,
So,
go ahead.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Elliott.
So there are two items that were referred to the public, to the personnel subcommittee. I'm a member, and Council Belanger and Council Milanazzo, he wasn't well, so we thought it was best not to. Council Milanazzo indicated, hey, please proceed, but we thought, and especially in the absence of him at the meeting and Council Samaras, that we delay it. But there's one item that I'd like the council to consider. I'm not really sure it's a personnel item. It's a motion made by Councilor Murcia relative to the charter. And it's really not a personnel issue. And my thought is that it perhaps should go to the Rules Subcommittee for further discussion, that along with other items, because I know it went to personnel, but I just don't think it's not a personnel issue. It's a charter, and it's an election issue, so.
Maybe it isn't, but on a previous date, we sent all three of those matters to the Personnel Subcommittee. If the Personnel Subcommittee wants to meet and then send it over to the Rules Committee, then that would be okay. But I don't think it would be appropriate to just take it out of the Personnel Committee once it's already been sent there and then send it to the Rules Committee.
Okay, we'll make a motion. If it doesn't belong there, then is there a way to suspend the rules to have this body vote on it?
It isn't, it's not before us right now either, Councilor Elliott. It's in
Okay.
that subcommittee.
That's fine. Thank you.
Moving on, the next item of business is under Wire Inspector for National Grid, Verizon Northeast, requests permission to relocate a pole at the intersection of Broadway and Madonna Circle. Chair would entertain a motion to accept and adopt the recommendation of the Wire Inspector. We have a motion by Councilor Belanger to do that, seconded by Councilor Murcia. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next item is under petitions. We have 3 property claims. Chair would entertain a motion to refer this to the Law Department for report and recommendation. We have a motion by Councilor Rourke to send it to the Law Department for a report and recommendation, seconded by Councilor Leahy. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, under miscellaneous, we have the Green Spoon Restaurant who requests permission for overhanging sign at 108 Merrimack Street. Chair would entertain a motion to refer that to the Law Department for report and recommendation. We have a motion by Councilor Rourke to do that, seconded by Councilor Murcia. Discussion, all in favor, so voted. And under council motions, we have 2 motions this evening. One is a motion by Councilor Leahy to request the city manager explore creating a program to waive excise taxes for active duty military personnel. Seconded by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Leahy.
Thank you, Your Honor. This motion, I put this on after hearing Representative DiZaglio speak about this. I thought that it's a good idea. She put it on at the state level. The city of Methuen has already adopted it, and it's just a gesture that, it's just a small gesture that we can offer to our men and women that are serving our country. So I present this and ask that the manager come back with the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? All opposed, so voted. The next is a motion by myself to request that the city manager of the property department investigate the property located at 350, 352 Wilder Street for possible code violations. This was just a request that came into the mayor's office. I think the motion speaks for itself. We have a second on the motion for Councilor Belanger. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? All opposed? So voted. The last item on the agenda is announcements. Does anybody have any announcements? Councilor Belanger has an announcement.
Mr. Mayor, big announcement. I want to let all the good folks at home that this weekend will be Winterfest here in downtown, our 15th annual, I believe, held downtown. So I just want to urge everybody to don't hibernate, come celebrate. It's going to be Winterfest has been totally revived with the all-new tinsel on Lucy Lockham, where we're about to unveil the lighting of the canal on Friday night. And you'll also witness the manager and the mayor will come down a snow dragon on a big slide into a snowbank. So that's a can't miss as well. So all sorts of events for the family. So please, come on down. The weather looks mild, so come on down.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Belanger. Any other announcements? Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Leary. All in favor, all opposed? We stand adjourned.